You've seen the title of the video. These are my thoughts on the Metroidvanias I played during the February Steam Next Fest.
Come with me, hoes!
Akatori. Akatori features perhaps the highest jump and double jump I've ever seen in a video game. I'm not complaining since I'm the guy who complains about games not having double jump early enough, but I must say the comically high jumps here feel kind of loose. What I like most about the game is the artwork, but it means the gameplay and other aspects fail to wow me. The protagonist fights with a stick and her strikes are fine, movement is also smooth. My primary criticism is that enemies keep reappearing continuously, which at first almost felt like some kind of a bug. But of course, it's a feature. They keep reappearing so that you can kill them again and again to gather currency and then buy health potions with that currency, which by the way is the only way to find health potions. You don't find any in the levels otherwise. I hate it as a concept because it's a grind-based system, and within the purview of a 2D Metroidvania like this, I don't think it works at all. There are some underwater sections where you have to move fast before your oxygen runs out. That's fine, as we've seen it in many other games, but when you pop your head out of the water to breathe and refill your stamina, it regenerates painfully slowly, which I thought was pretty baffling. There is a potion that is supposed to make this stamina regeneration faster, but again, I think as a gameplay system, this is not gonna make the experience very enjoyable. It certainly didn't for me while I was playing the demo. There is one boss fight, and at the end of it, you get this icon as a reward, which lets you wishlist the game, which I thought was kind of funny. Momogatari. Momogatari's uniqueness is that you start the game with 3 different weapons which serve 3 different purposes. The one-handed sword is for your regular combat. The dual swords have low strength but this omnidirectional quick slash that is essential to deal with certain types of enemies. And the slow but powerful thick sword allows you to take down the shields of enemies, which then allows you to actually attack them. You can swap between these 3 weapons anytime just with a flick of the right stick, and the combat with its slappy sound design feels really good. Too bad the enemies are a bit too on the simpler side though. Even the one boss you get to fight in the demo had super simple, easy to recognize attack pattern. But I guess that's okay, because the game is clearly focused on platforming, and in that department it does quite alright. Some parts of it are pretty tough, but since healing is not tied to some kind of limited charge healing potion, but rather is similar to Hollow Knight where you need to strike enemies to fill up your healing flask and then press a button to instantly heal yourself, platforming challenges didn't get very frustrating for me. Speaking of Hollow Knight, unsurprisingly, the music here resembled it heavily, which I don't know if it's a good thing or not, although it does go with the aesthetic of this game in my opinion, so I guess that's okay. I loved the art style and how fluid the character movement is. Level design felt a bit too simple, with some areas where I literally hit a dead end and didn't really know why the game even bothered to bring me there, but seeing the overall quality of the product, I would give these the benefit of doubt. These might simply be limitations of this being just a demo. It's a simple game, but I liked what it had to offer, so I wishlisted it. Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland. Apparently, Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland is based on a comic strip from 100 years ago. In Steam alone, if you try to look up Little Nemo, you'll see a bunch of games there. But this one certainly seems to be the best and perhaps the only proper game. As the game is set in a little boy's dream, the art style is oozing with colorful imagination. But don't mistake it as a children's game though, as it could be surprisingly difficult. You start very simple with your character movement being pretty slow and slightly stiff feeling, but as you progress and collect candies, golden moons, blue moons, and different upgrades and power-ups in the guise of toys and pajamas, the Metroidvania-ness of the game slowly unravels. There is a Souls-like element in it where the candies you collect, which are currencies, vanish when you die. Well, you don't die in this game, more like wake up from your dream. There is no corpse run mechanism, as in you can't get the candies back when they're lost. However, you do find an NPC to whom you can deposit your candies in order to not lose them upon death. You can use these candies to buy items from NPCs, but also to buy useful hints and info from them. One thing I found kind of annoying about the candies is that whenever they pop out of these moons or when you pluck them out of the ground, they bounce off and spread around you, which you have to then manually collect. Sometimes they drop on hostile ground, so you can't pick them without getting hurt. But even without that, this manually collecting mechanism gets very tedious very soon. I hope in the full game you find a power-up to magnetically collect them. You start the game kind of combat-free, where your only option to get rid of the enemies is to pluck these vegetables from the ground and throw them on the enemy's face. Soon, however, you find a yo-yo that enables you to hit enemies with it whenever you want. The demo is pretty long and it allows you to traverse through an unexpected number of different biomes. My general impression of the game is very good. While the movement can feel slow and stiff in the demo, the trailer of the game indicates that it'll get much better as you play further and upgrade your character. So I have high hopes for the finished product. The full game is going to release on 31st March and the technical polish of the demo gives me confidence about it, so I wishlisted it right away. Altered Alma. Altered Alma's movement is fast, combat is satisfying, and the visuals have this dirty cyberpunk look that basically spells out cool. You have the usual stuff like skill tree, upgrade paths, etc. But there's also a lot of NPC interactions, side quests, and apparently you can romance these NPCs if you choose your dialogue options carefully. You have this tiny robot that follows you around who you can take control of to slide into small crevices and hack systems to open doors. Pretty much exactly like you could in 9 Souls. Speaking of 9 Souls, there's also a parry system here which was just okay. It didn't feel anywhere as punchy as 9 Souls, although I must admit the combat in this game isn't as reliant on parrying as 9 Souls was. Traversal is very satisfying, especially when you unlock this disc which you can throw and then teleport to its location as long as it hits a wall or an enemy. This ability also has combat utility. You can throw it at enemies to instantly close the gap, but also attacking them right after you teleport to them this way makes your attack stronger and fills up your energy bar faster. With its side quests and tons of dialogue options, it sure is going to have a lot of focus on telling a story, so if you're into that, this should definitely be in your wishlist. I, however, didn't care much about that, but what I did care about most, combat and exploration, were able to satisfy me enough for me to wishlist the game right away. There is no release date for it as of yet. Lucid. Lucid was the most surprising experience for me in this next fest. On the surface, I didn't expect much from it since it looked like any other pixel art 2D side-scroller, but upon taking the controller and actually starting the game, I was hooked. It's a fast, platforming-focused Metroidvania, and even though I don't like platforming very much due to my low skills, I absolutely loved it. I haven't played Celeste yet, but upon playing this demo of Lucid, I think now I know what the fans of Celeste mean when they talk about satisfying controls in a platforming game. Lucid's controls are not only fluid and polished on a technical level, but it succeeds to give you that elusive, perfect game feel that keeps you hooked even when you are failing. As someone who dreads platforming and gets easily frustrated by them, this was such a breath of fresh air for me. You can jump, double jump, dash and jump for more height and distance, and as long as you keep hitting things, you can reset your jump and stay on air. We've seen a similar thing in games like The Messenger, but also the recent Mio Memories in Orbit, but the tight controls here in Lucid makes pulling off quick succession of jumps like that unusually satisfying.
This really feels wonderful. I think I'm gonna come.
It might be a small thing for some people, but I extra appreciated the fact that, unlike pretty much every other platformer, you don't lose health if you bump into an obstacle like a spike and get respawned at the starting of a platforming section. This means you can continuously keep trying without losing your muscle momentum by dropping health and restarting at the main checkpoint. I can't express how much just this one feature alone lessened my frustration with platforming and made me truly enjoy the challenge. Speaking of checkpoints, they are your standard bonfire type where you rest on them to equip abilities and upgrades and manually save your progress. This manual save system is curious because I opened a shortcut by destroying a wall before meeting a boss and then died at the boss to realize that the game put that wall back and made me go through creating that shortcut again. An NPC near the boss explicitly told me to save my game before going to something dangerous, so I got my message and went back to the checkpoint after creating this shortcut again and manually saved my game. And yeah, when I died to the boss this time, the shortcut remained open. Maybe modern games just spoiled me, so this manual save system felt a little jarring. But I'm also thinking if it might become an issue in later levels because you probably won't know that you are about to face a boss in the next room or so, and thus might forget to save beforehand. I don't know, I think just making things like opening shortcuts, etc. be saved in the background automatically like any other game would make this game better. But anyway, this has been the one platforming game that made me feel genuinely excited about a platforming game after I don't know how many years. So it instantly went into my wishlist and I can't wait for it. The release date is stated to be spring of 2026, so hopefully I'll be able to play Celeste beforehand to prepare myself for Lucid. Volunteer the Ascension. The demo I was most impressed by the overall experience was of Volunteer the Ascension. First of all, the Steam store page of the game says that it is coming soon as an early access release. That means this Next Fest demo was of an early access game, which makes it even more impressive due to how polished the demo was. There were zero bugs, performance was flawless, voice acting was in place, and overall presentation-wise, nothing about it felt unfinished or like a work in progress, which could only mean it's releasing in early access because the final product is supposed to be super ambitious. And yeah, if the demo is anything to go by, I do believe in whatever ultimate ambition the devs have about the game. They certainly seem to be capable of pulling it off. It took me 2 hours to finish the demo, but somehow it felt like the longest demo of any video game I've ever played. I'm not sure why. As a demo, it does take a long time to actually get going though, especially if you decide to talk to all the NPCs and listen and read what they have to say to get an understanding of the story, it would feel even longer. But then once the game actually begins, everything from combat, traversal, level design kept impressing me all throughout. Apart from the regular Metroidvania stuff, which the game obviously pulls off as competently as the best games of the genre, the new thing here is JRPG style party gathering. In your quest, you meet different NPCs who usually ask for some kind of favor from you, and once you complete them, they join your party. This means you can call them up anytime and they will perform an action to aid you in battle. For example, this chef guy throws his burning pot on the enemies, which gives them burning damage. Even in this preview of a demo, I got to collect several party members with different active and passive abilities, which you'll be able to upgrade and enhance later on. I can clearly see the Pokemon collection type satisfaction this will give you in the full game, and even though I'm not a veteran JRPG player, I sure loved this feature in this game. The levels felt very well designed with almost no bloat. You're constantly unlocking paths, discovering secret ways, solving puzzles, or obtaining objects. So exploration to me felt very satisfying. And yeah, I don't have much else to say really. It already seems to be a large, ambitious, high-quality Metroidvania with many moving parts, and even though I'm somewhat pre-biased about Grime II, the next game I'm gonna talk about because I'm a huge fan of the first game, Volunteer the Ascension blew me away in a way that none of the other games I played during this Next Fest did. I 100% recommend checking it out. Grime 2. If you've seen my video on Grime, you'd know how much I loved it. The moment I learned there's going to be a sequel coming out soon and that there's a demo out already, I immediately ran for it. And it didn't disappoint. Aesthetically, it's very similar to the previous game, except this one feels a bit more colorful, which is not very surprising as the first game was about stones and the sequel seems to be about paint. Two major changes in this sequel are: 1. Unlike the first game, this one does not have the stamina mechanism. Kind of. While you can continuously swing your weapon as in any other game without a stamina system, but there is a new force meter under your health bar which depletes whenever you attack or dash, and slowly regenerates when you don't, like the stamina meter. But instead of impacting your ability to swing your blade or dash, this force impacts your damage output. As long as you swing your weapon slowly enough to keep this meter from crossing this threshold, your weapon damage remains strong. But if you swing too fast and the meter depletes beyond this threshold, then the damage output diminishes significantly. I see a lot of potential in this feature as this essentially lets you choose your own playstyle. You can play it like the previous game and treat this like stamina to play slow and deliberately, or you can let yourself free from the stress of stamina management and go bonkers on the enemies in exchange of causing less damage per strike. I used both of these methods depending on the situation, and my time with the short demo was pretty fun. The other major change is in the level design. Now it's 3D. Well, it was always 3D since it is a 3D side-scroller, but now you can go forward or backward on the Z-axis through these corridors. I'm quite happy with this because the level design on the first game was already so good that I wasn't really sure if it could be improved much while staying on one 2D plane. Seems like the devs thought the same, and now we have different different planes to play with, and I'm eagerly waiting to find out how much of its potentials the devs are able to exploit in this sequel. Combat remains crunchy fun as before, and overall I thought it's been improved to feel slightly faster and more agile. The parry mechanism makes a return, and this time you can parry and then dash at the enemy to absorb and store them, and later throw a clone of them in front of other enemies to hurt them. It's a neat little new feature that, while didn't feel too essential for combat, but it's a nice to have, I guess. As a huge fan of the first game, after playing the demo of the sequel, my expectation is now even higher. For those who never played the first game and this slimy aesthetic is putting you off, let me tell you, I felt the same when I encountered the first game, but very soon it won me over with its quality. Find out how by watching my love letter to the first game disguised as a review. You'll find it somewhere on this screen. I really urge you to watch it. If you like Metroidvanias, there is no way you will not like that game. Anyway, Grime II releases on 31st March, and I can't wait.